Thank you. Our final speaker this evening, Doug Brown. Word nerd, Doug Brown.
Good evening. Do you by any chance recall your very first word? I think I had to be reminded of mine, but it was no. Not a very auspicious beginning to a great vocabulary, but we all have to start somewhere, and I think it was inevitable. You see, as a toddler, I was on a perpetual seek and destroy mission. I would bring one prized object after another to my mother, and she would always respond with, no, no. I came to believe it was a noun for everything I found interesting in the house. By the age of 2, my father was studying each morning before going off to school, and I would crawl up into his lap as he would read from whatever textbook he had in front of him, and he would read aloud to me. He would read aloud with all of the expression normally reserved for, oh, Alice through the looking glass. I mean, who needs Cat in the Hat when cell biology had this kind of drama and irony? Of course, I had storybooks, and I would dutifully supply my own storylines anytime someone would not read them to me. And I was a creative child. The tale would vary with every telling. But I noticed something. When my mother, father, sisters would read me a story, their stories were tediously repetitive. Same book, same story. Now, at first I thought it was some kind of Machiavellian conspiracy and extensive memorization. It turns out there was another explanation. My parents were reading the stories. I figured I had to check into this, but I didn't know what I was in for. You see, I was not fortunate enough to have been born to, say, French-speaking parents or even Spanish-speaking parents. No, you see, it was my curse that my monolingual parents spoke and insisted on imposing on me that ghastly conglomeration that we call English. Now, it's bad enough in its spoken form, but in its written form, under the terms of the Geneva Convention, it's an instrument of torture. Now, tonight I only have time for one brief example, and it's a biggie. Now, of course, the English alphabet is simply chock full of perfectly good vowels. You all know this part. Say it with me now. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y and W. More than enough for any reasonable person. But someone out there, someone with a cruel streak, invented this monstrosity. And before we know it, it was showing up in words like though and dough. But of course, a word fragment of this size and complexity was bound to be pressed into service again, and before we know it, it showed up in through. Now, I'll tell you what. If you're trying to read phonetically, when it showed up in rough, reading that way gets a little tough. And of course, all bets are off because it also shows up as off in words like cough. And of course, it shows up as ow in the word bow of Cradle Will Rock fame. So just about the time you learn that this thing is not, in fact, ugh, you find out that it is indeed o, oo, aw, ow, or ooh. All bets are off. You know, you never forget your very first time. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. My palms were sweaty. I was nervous. My dad and I talked about it, of course, but it's never quite the same when the time comes. Her name was Diane, and she had just spelled pedantic. This head-to-head competition was grueling. It was down to just the two of us, and I was faced with gladiola. I don't think I'd ever seen one before, but I got through it. And the polysyllabics loomed before us like hurdles in our paths. One after another, we leapt them. Eventually, of course, she edged me at the table. I was in my best form. My phonics training had served me well. But she beat me. My kind of girl. You never forget your very first spelling bee. But of course, the real rite of passage was yet to come. In Jewish households, it's the bar mitzvah. But in my household, the real rite of passage was Scrabble. I'd seen my parents play it on many occasions, often late into the night. I'd heard them speak that most mysterious language of this most adult of pastimes. Mysterious words like fa, x, and qua. Words never encountered apart from the official Scrabble player's dictionary. And of course, our kitchen table in the wee hours of the morning. I played my first word, and it was a good one. I fumbled the tiles as I placed them on the board, but that was okay. It was quip. 17 points. Pride swelled in my breast. But that was short-lived because my mother quickly cleared her rack, turning quip into sesquipedalian. 32 points! Triple word score! 50-point bonus. I realized then and there that I was grasshopper. My mother, a black belt word master. But I would make her proud of me someday. I started then and there to commit myself to a course of study. Late nights spent with the dictionary, often under the covers with a flashlight. Waiting each month for my monthly fix of increasing your word power, courtesy of Reader's Digest. And of course, I was just spoiling for a chance to use my newfound ammunition. Around the house it was encouraged, but on the streets, the truth is, I became a word nerd. There was always some lexically challenged bully waiting to beat up on the skinny kid carrying a thesaurus. In response, I became a closet verbophile. I would look for the right word, even though I knew the bone in my nose was called the vomer, and that the fat part of an earthworm was the clitellian. Didn't everyone? Perhaps you can imagine then, after hearing this tale, perhaps you can imagine the great sense of relief I felt, the sense of coming out, when I visited my very first Toastmasters meeting. Here were normal-looking people, people like me meeting openly, who devoted themselves to learning one word every week, often really useless words. And I owe my newfound freedom to all of you, my fellow Toastmasters and word nerds.
Thank you, Doug. Now we will have more than a moment of silence so the judges can fill out their forms. And when they're done, please be sure you sign them and hold them up so the counters can collect them. Now, let's give our contestants one more big round of applause. About y'all, but I love these contests. They just warm cockles in my heart. And now the contestants, you ain't through yet. I'm about to grill you like you've never been grilled before. In fact, I'm going to make you come up these steps so everybody can see. No, I'm not. Never mind. Okay. We like to get to know our contestants in 25 words or less, which is hard for a Toastmaster to do, but we're going to do it. So I'd like to have Andy Goris, our first speaker, come on down. Share. So Andy, tell us what division and what club you're from.
Eastern Division, and it's the HP Rise and Shine Club. It meets at 7 in the morning.
7 in the morning. I can relate. I've been to one of those clubs. Yes, your eyes do open.
Yes. It's hard to get them to laugh that early, too.
So tell me, I understand you have 4 patents.
Yes.
Tell me about one.
Well, they're all very similar and related, but they're all related to computer graphics hardware. So it's the stuff inside a computer workstation that draws pictures on the screen.
Oh.
25 words or less.
I did not mean it, and I want to thank you. And here, I have a certificate for you, Andy, and thank you for participating. Our next speaker this evening was David Love. David, come on down. club you're from?
Foothills Division Jawbreakers Club. I had to think twice.
Yeah, it's pretty new. Joe, no, this is a new club, and this is a new member, and this is what happens when you concentrate to the word of the week. See? Okay. I happen to know one of David's hobbies is sailboating. You want to tell us about one brief experience you had?
My daughter tipped over in the sailboat one of the first few times. I wasn't even in the boat, but she saved another little girl, and I figured I was a success.
Oh, don't that just warm your heart to hear that? Oh, David, congratulations on your daughter saving the other girl's life or whatever. And I want to thank you for participating. Here's a certificate and good job. Microphone back at the same time. You don't have to clap for me. Okay. Third person who spoke tonight was Carol Lingo. Carol, where are you? Come on. Long walking back there, isn't it? Yeah. Carol, tell us what division and what club you're from.
Metro 3, Parker.
Good job. You know where Parker is, don't you? It's that little town just south or wherever there. So tell us, you collect antiques?
No.
Oh, that's the wrong speaker. Wait a minute.
But I will if you want me to.
No, it's okay. All I know is golfing. You broke 100. Tell us about golf.
Oh, well, I broke 100 just in less than a year when I used to play several times a week. That was to get out of the house, you know, to keep from doing the housework. But now I've found better things to do, like Toastmasters, so I'm not golfing as much. But I live on the golf course. It just doesn't look
But you're not golfing?
Well, it just doesn't look like that much fun. They hit the ball and walk, hit the ball and walk.
I can tell she's not an executive with an insurance company, right? Okay. Carol, we want to thank you for participating. Here's our certificate, and good job. Our next speaker was George Weichert IV. Come on down, George. Guess what I'm going to ask him. What club and division are you from?
5951 Bookcliff Sundowners, Western Division.
Where? Well, okay. Well, okay, you do it your way and I'll do it mine. Okay, now I understand that you have this hobby called snowboarding.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us one brief experience.
I got started late with snowboarding. Me and four other guys and myself.
Speak to the word there about that.
We're known as, in our little resort, we're known as the seniors on boards. But we don't have to do everything they do, but we still try to. And last year we were working on our jumps. This year we're going to work on our landings.
Seems to me I ought to work on my landing first, but then he did the beginning two questions backwards also, so there you are. Our next speaker was Lydia Phillips, and she's coming all the way down from the middle of the room. Come on down, Lydia. You didn't bring your bear with you. Okay, so tell us what division and what club you're from.
Northern Division, Morning Tour Toastmasters.
You're the one who collects antiques, or likes antiques. Oh good, I got the right person. You know, it's really hard sometimes. So tell us a little bit about antiques.
They're old. And I have a lot of them. My father is an antique dealer, so I was brought up with him, and believe it or not, my two sons did not manage to destroy my household when they were youngsters. They learned how to live around antiques.
I'm impressed you can come to my house and teach my husband a few things. Thank you. And here's a certificate, and congratulations, good job. Speaker was Steve Besenton. Steve, come on down. Okay, I'll get this right, George, in the right order, okay? What division and club are you from?
Denver Division, Cherry Creek Toastmasters.
Now, I know something that you all don't know, and that's because I read the card, and that's why you don't all know this, but you like ballroom dancing, right?
That's right.
Okay, tell us one experience.
We started out really slow. We started out really slow, myself and my wife, and she kept on saying, it's going to get better, it's going to get easier. You'll learn this thing eventually. And then we finally found the right instructor, and we don't step on each other's feet as much.
So you compete, do you?
Not so much, no, not in that.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Okay. Well, Steve, here's a certificate of participation. Good luck, and thank you for participating. Good job. And our last speaker this evening was Doug Brown. Doug, come on down. I'm going to ask you the same question. What division and club are you from?
Southern Division, Pikes Peak Toastmasters.
Pikes Peak Toastmasters. Hard to say early. You don't meet in the morning, do you?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, yes. His notable accomplishments were a wife, children, and 15 years of marriage. You got one brief anecdote?
I usually just explain that when you have 5 children and you had them one at a time, that you probably are one of those people that didn't set out to have 5 children. You just decided to have 4 more, 4 more times.
I see.
And that's where we are. And 5's the grand total, and we're holding.
Well, good for you. Good. I know. I'm glad to know a man who knows when to stop. There you are. So, Doug, here's a certificate, and good job. Thank you. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Tina Hubis, would you come on down and help me with this part? I haven't even looked yet. I haven't even looked at the card. I wanted to wait till the last moment, too. Okay, now this is the moment we've all been waiting for. We heard 7 fine contestants. They put their hearts and their souls and their bodies into this thing, so let's tell them who did what. Our 3rd place winner in District 26 Humorous Speech Contest, Carol Lingo. Three place winners win a free registration to TLI. They can go hear Dwayne in his parliamentary procedure. Your class is going to be full, I guarantee. Okay, our 2nd place winner in the District 26 speech contest, Steve Vicenton. And the 1st place winner in District 26 Humorous Speech Contest, Doug Brown.